All right, we've been teasing it all show long. Intern Katie got him on our Skype line. Air Paris is in the building, or I guess on the internet. What's up, Air Paris?
Hey, brother. How are you, man? Thank you for having me.
Dude, we are pumped. No, thank you. We appreciate you coming by. Yeah, no, we appreciate your time, man, and we are excited about your upcoming event. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, I would think most people are going to recognize you from your WCW days.
Yeah.
But it all started in NWA. Let me know, how does a 14-year-old get broke into the business? That seems so young.
Man, I did another podcast here recently that some folks were talking about, and they were comparing me to Terry Gordy, which, there's no comparison there. That man's a legend. But starting at 14, man, I just, my sister was dating a guy who was learning to wrestle when I was about 7, 8 years old, and I was that little kid that got to hang around just because I thought the ring was cool.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I'm in there because I had no fear. You know how kids are; they're stupid, or at least I was. Let me speak to that. My daughter's probably the brightest kid I've ever met in my entire life, which is a blessing. But man, I would get in there and they could body slam me or suplex me or do anything, and I was light and they could try stuff. And the next thing you know, I was a tackling dummy at 10 years old, and then it just kind of kept rolling. I started learning what I was doing, and when I was 14, they had a guy cancel, and they needed somebody to get squashed in about 50 seconds, and they threw me a mask, which was terrible because I have a huge nose, and I'm not. People may think I have a face for a mask, but that one didn't work on me. But man, yeah, my first match was September 25th, 1993.
Wow.
Yeah, in a little town here in Georgia, and took about 50 seconds, but that was the start of it.
Man, I tell you what, I saw this in person, not you. But a few months ago, I saw something just like this happening. So I'm wondering if that kid is going to get into the business. Anyways, there's a local promotion here in Lake Charles. And while they were tearing down the mat, one of the kids came up to the wrestlers, and he was like, oh, man, that's got to be padded. And he showed him what the ring was. And then he was like, man, that still can't hurt. And he's like, you want to take a bump? And he was like, yeah. So he got in the ring, and he slammed him. And the look on this kid's face when he realized what these athletes go through, it was priceless.
Oh yeah, man. People think, just because it's entertainment that there's no impact and all that. You learn real quick. All it takes is one bump, and you learn real quick a lot of respect for the business.
So let's talk about NWA Wildside. That's in Georgia, and that's really where the Air Paris name started to just catch steam.
Yeah, I met Bill Behrens. I got booked on some shows for him. Everybody knows Bill's kind of, I think he's pretty much the agent to the stars in the business. He handles anybody that's anybody right now as far as their careers. But met Bill, and I was wrestling at the time as Kid Ego. I was a 150-pound heel who thought he was something else. And Bill met me. He said, kid, you got a lot of talent. You don't have a lot of ego, which he was terribly wrong about. He ended up finding out I had a whole lot of ego eventually. But he said, man, I hate the name Kid. He said, what you're doing is you're boxing yourself in, and you'll never. The 1, 2, 3 Kid's the only one that's ever been a big name as a kid, maybe other than Dynamite, right?
Right.
So he said, what's your name? And I said, Frank Paris. He said, you do a lot of flips. You're Air Paris. And gave me that, and that's where that name come from. I hated it first. Oh my gosh, it was the worst name I'd ever heard in my life. Which turned it, in the long run, it turned out pretty well, I guess. But
right,
yeah, that's how that character came to be.
Man, that's cool, and that's where you met AJ Styles. Was in NWA Wildside.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Wildside was one of those places where everybody has been through. I mean, that's where AJ got his start. I was there. When I was there, there were guys like Jason Cross, John Phoenix, really, really top independent talent. Matt Seidel came through, David Young, any number of people. WCW was sending people down like 3 count. When I left, like the Briscoes came through. What's his name? Johnny Curtis, who became Fandango. Everybody came through that little church in Cornelia, Georgia. Just an unbelievable roster.
Right, and there's actually a video on thegorillaposition.com. Just look up A Happy Ending. It's an interview that Ryan K. Bowman did with you, and there's a video on there of a match between, I guess it was supposed to take place between AJ Styles and Sabu, but Sabu got injured. You took his spot, And that match is absolutely incredible, man. You guys did a bang-up job.
Well, there's a little more to that story that it kind of has faded out over time. But we had Sabu 2 nights on a Friday and a Saturday. The night before, when we had him, it was me versus Sabu for the NWA World Title in Athens, Georgia. So we go out and we have our match, and things didn't go quite as well as they could have. We were just off, and I'll leave it at that. So the next night we come back, and we had to bring those people back in, and Sabu was he was Sabu. It was amazing, and it was just that was one of the most fun matches ever. Even though the only thing I really did with Sabu was lay there for a table and let him put me through it. Still awesome, That's one of those moments that me watching ECW never thought I'd get to do.
Oh, most definitely. I got to talk to Tommy Dreamer the other day. I tell you what, I was marking out like a little schoolgirl inside. I kept it totally professional, but I was like, man, I'm talking to the innovator of violence, man.
Absolutely, yeah. Man, that's getting to be around those guys it's one of the cool things about this business. Even if you don't make it to a really high level, some of these local guys get to be around these stars, and it really pulls them up and makes them feel like they're part of something. It's pretty cool.
Right. And then talking about making it to a high level, you made it to the top, bud. You and AJ both had a crazy following in NWA Wildside, got the attention of WCW management, and then you guys got signed. How did that go down, and what was your thought process?
Well, me and AJ were wrestling each other pretty much. It seemed, and I'm terrible with dates and all that, but it seemed like for about a year, be it in tags or singles, we eventually went to where it was just singles or 8-mans. We were just the feud that was kind of running Wildside at the time. Like I said, WCW had been sending people down, and they had agents coming to watch their talent just to see, what we were doing with their investment.
Right.
So one night, JJ and Terry are there. They see me and AJ in the ring. They give us a dark match. We go to Baltimore. The next thing you know, he's cutting a shooting star off the top rope to the floor, and we've got 15,000 people chanting "Holy," and I won't say the expletive because I'm a dad now. But
thank you, sir.
We come back through the curtains, and they give us a job. They offer us a job on the spot. So
nice,
man. Going back, that 150-pound kid. I'd grown up a bit then, but. That was the kid when those people were jobbing me out in 50 seconds. No, this kid's never got a chance, So that was it was really big validation, I guess is the best way to put that.
Oh, most definitely. And then you guys went on to, of course, start tagging in WCW under the moniker Air Raid. And the name that you hated was not only part of your tag team name in WCW, but they changed AJ Styles' name to Air Styles.
Funny enough, he hated it as much or more than I did when I was giving it. He said it before that he thought I should have been Air Styles or something like that. But, that gimmick is funny because they didn't really know what to do with us. They put us together, and I guess they just wanted to see if we could pull that off. I'm not sure. The company was so disjointed at that point. It was, I guess, just throw something against the wall and hope it sticks.
Right.
But, they said, we're going to make you guys fighter pilots. How cool is that? And we were like, oh, it's not cool at all. It's terrible.
It's going to be like Top Gun.
If they'd gotten us Danger Zone, Kenny Loggins, for our ring music, now that would have made it cool.
Right.
I think that would have gotten us signed by WWE when they bought us out. But, they put us together as a team, and we probably only had maybe 6 matches total as Air Raid. Yeah. But it's one of those things that, even though it was only 6 matches, everybody remembers it. That's pretty crazy.
Now, and speaking of getting signed by WWE, when they bought out WCW, you guys were not signed. Of course,
no.
AJ went on and did his thing. You went on kind of like a soul-searching tour.
Well, I mean, you could say I went on tour for sure. When that happened, man, Johnny Ace called me and not to put out a sad story or anything, but I was in California. I'd done an indie, and Johnny Ace calls and he's like, "Hey, we got to let you go. I won't do an impression. Sorry about that." But he said, "We're going to let you go. You guys' last day is May 11th. So just so happens May 11th is my birthday."
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that made that one a real fun year. But, man, I had discovered a rock band out of Athens, Georgia called Widespread Panic,
Hey, it's Mike Keogh from the AverageMarks. To listen to the full interview from former WCW and NWA Wildside wrestler Air Paris, check out the description below the video.